Hey everyone, it's Gabriel Montalvo here, and I am going to share with you guys just something I want to do to kind of share bits of, well, not bits, but who I really am in the grand totality of everything. So, right now, I'm on my front porch at my home here in Central Texas. And so I kind of want to tell you a little bit about me. And this year I'm turning 30. And so there are a lot of things that, that I want to talk to you about and share with you. I don't know why, but I just feel compelled to share. So if you get something from it, awesome. If you don't, it's okay. But I remember that from whenever I could remember, I always had this dream of, being able to create and forge kind of like the life that I've always wanted to live. And so I remember when I was 16, my very first job was working at the Boys and Girls Club in Central Texas. That was my first job through the Texas Workforce Commission. And so I remember that I went and did the interviews, and actually the way it worked back then is they did like a job fair. And so there was a lot of jobs, here in Central Texas, and they had, I just remember a few of the jobs they had. They had working at the cemetery as one. They had, being someone's executive assistant. It was all sorts of these like really weird and like random jobs. And so I remember the job that I wanted the most was, working like in an office. And I remember that it was like office, and then there was like a receptionist. I kind of wanted like an AC cool job, right? And so I remember they told us pick your top 3 jobs, and then pick your top 3 low jobs. Basically, it was jobs that you didn't want. And I remember when they called us back and they told us, what jobs had hired us, and we got to pick what job we wanted. I remember that, it was like the top 3 jobs that I didn't want. It was like, everything was like working outside. I remember the top 3 jobs, I can't remember what the third one was, but the jobs that I got an offer for was the Boys and Girls Club, the Killeen Cemetery, and I can't remember what the third one. It was something, I think it had to be with something outside, so I was like, whoa. But anyway, I worked at the Boys and Girls Club. That was my first job, working at the Boys and Girls Club. And this is gonna be kind of like a recap of like my 20s, essentially. So I remember working at the Boys and Girls Club, and I remember, my time. I worked the summer there, and then the next job I had, I remember that I really wanted a job that was close to my house because I didn't have a car. And I knew I couldn't count on my mom to bring me to work or pick me up from work, because my mom worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, right? In order to keep the food on the table and, pay the bills. So I knew my mom was unavailable in that sense. So I remember I was like, man, I really want to work at the subway close to my house. That was about a mile. And it's so funny. As soon as you start doing a video, like cars start showing up like in the woodwork. But if I come out here and sit and do nothing, I swear to you, there's like nothing ever out here. So anyway, I remember that I actually, I don't know, this is so funny. But I remember I got the job working at the Subway, right? And so I wanted to work at Subway for 2 reasons. 1, it was close to my house. And 2, I just like to eat. And I like Subway. And I remember working there. It was like really, looking back on it, it was like truly, truly slave labor. And so, but I'm thankful for it because that job, sometimes you're in jobs that aren't your dream jobs, but they show you exactly what you don't want to do. And so I remember I would sweep and mop and wipe down. And the people that I worked with, sometimes they didn't want to work with me because I was slow. And now looking back on it, if you know, if you have ADHD, then it's really hard for you to do something that you don't really like to do. And so anyway, so I was working at Subway, and I remember that they started cutting my hours. It was like 10 hours a week, which was like $90. It wasn't even worth the time, Back then it was like maybe $150. Back then it was like $89, $79 check. And I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. But anyway, I remember that I was like, I gotta do something better. And so, my family realized early on that even thought I passed all my schoolwork, barely, but they kind of realized that I kind of didn't want to study. So everyone in my family thought that I really didn't want to study or go to college or anything like that. And so I grew up in this very traditional, go to college, get a good job type family. And it's not that they meant anything bad by it, but it's just that's what they knew, and that's what, they wanted to see their kids. So for some reason, everyone in my family thought that Subway was like this big dream and all of this and that. And I was like, no, that's not my dream at all. So anyway, so I remember when I opened up my first bank account at my first job, that the girl that helped me open up my bank account, she helped me open up my bank account. I'll never forget her, and I think I'm still friends with her to this day on my Facebook, I'm pretty sure. Her name was Gabriella. And Gabriella, wherever you are, God bless you. I hope you're doing well. Well, Gabriella opened up my bank account, and it was something about the way she opened it. She was so loving, so kind, so humble. And as a 16-year-old looking back on it, I thought the bank was like this most powerful institution and things like that. And it really made an impression on me, because I was like, wow, here is someone that has like all the authority and power, right? Working at a bank. And she's just so willing to help me, right? And so I knew from that moment that I wanted to work at our local bank. And something just told me that if I got a job there, that was gonna be the key, right? So anyway, fast forward, and they're cutting my hours at Subway, and I remember, I was like, no. And it was about a month before my 18th birthday, and I went in, and I was tired of looking at it, because I would always go to the career part of the job, and I remember I got tired of looking at it. And so one day I decided to apply a month before my 18th birthday. And the reason I hadn't applied is because I was 17. And so I remember that I applied. And about 2 weeks went by, and I kind of had forgotten about it a little bit. And I remember I was in 5th period history class, and I get a phone call. But obviously I'm in class and I can't pick it up. And it was, when I listened to the voicemail, his name, God bless him, wherever he's at, Matthew Shiflett with First National Bank. He doesn't work at the bank anymore. Probably left over 10 years ago. And I remember he had like this old, raspy, old man voice. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's this old man calling me. This must be what it is. This must be like the bank. And so he said, hey, my name is so-and-so with First, let me edit this part out. But it was so-and-so with, the local bank. We would love to have you here for an interview. And I immediately said yes. And so after I said yes, I hung up the phone and I realized, I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, because I was still 17. And so my initial happiness turned into dread. And I remember, like, my initial happiness turned to dread, and then I called them about 5 or 10 minutes later, and I said, hey, Matt, or hey, so-and-so. This is going to be so hard to edit. I was like, hey, Matt, I am so thankful. I remember I told him, I said, hey. I called him back. I said, hey. I called him back and I said, hey, I just want to be completely honest with you. I applied on the job site and all my information was correct, but I just have to tell you one thing. I won't be 18 for another 2 weeks. Is it okay if I still come and interview? And man, I was like so nervous because I was like, I really wanted to work there. And so looking back on it, I'm not sure if it was, I'm not sure if he was impressed with me or because I had the temerity of calling him back and telling him the truth. I'm not sure what it is. But I remember he said, yeah, and God bless him wherever he's at. He gave me the opportunity to come back and interview. And to make a long story short, I got the job and I would subsequently be there for about 6 years, and I became a supervisor, and they helped me pay for college. I gotta admit it, right? And so with that job, I was able, they helped me with my tuition. And I learned so many job skills, so many skills that I still use to this day. And so I'm going to tell you this, and looking back on it, here's the truth. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I just knew that that's what I wanted. It was like my dream to work there. Not because of the prestige, and not because I could even put it into words back then, but because it was the ability to be in a position of power to help people. And so, I didn't know any better. I just did it. And so, I hope this story can help you some. Whatever it is in your life that you're trying to reach, it seems like everything in life is pushing you towards what you want. But you have to decide that you want it. And so, yeah, man, I made so many memories, fun times, good times, sad times working there. But it's like I just had this dream, and I did it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you can get something from this. So let me end. But thank you guys so much for watching. I pray that you can get something from this, something helps you. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.